The gentleman from California, Mr. Miller, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Welcome back. It's good to have you, Chairman Bernanke. In your testimony, you cited low demand and high inventory for houses throughout the country. In California, it's kind of an interesting process. We're kind of going the other way. I mean, inventory is over on California down to about 3.5 months, down from 4.2 in May, which is a really good trend. In fact, in the Inland Empire, which was hit very, very hard, San Bernardino County, it's actually down to about 40 days. And that's where it gets nice to go into a real estate office and actually see lists of buyers instead of lists of homes for sale. And what do you think we can do to keep this trend going? Because I don't believe the economy is going to come back till the housing market recovers.
Well, as you say, there is improvement in the market as a whole, and particularly in some areas. I'm not sure that this low inventory situation will persist because there's a pretty big backlog of houses that are in the foreclosure process that may come onto the market, and that will be an issue. We provided a working paper earlier this year that discussed some of the issues in housing. For example, in order to keep down that inventory, one strategy is to undertake programs that convert REO, real estate owned by banks and other owners, to rental properties, and the GSEs are running a program like that that has some promise. It's important to do what we can to avoid foreclosure, obviously, where it's possible, or if that's not possible, to give people a way through deed in lieu or short sales or other mechanisms to get out of their home and to sell it and to avoid a lengthy process. Access to credit remains a very significant problem. It's hard to point to specific things that can be done, but one thing that I think is promising is the GSEs, as I understand it, are considering changes in their practices that will reduce the concerns that banks have about so-called put-back risk, so that when banks make a mortgage loan and sell the mortgage to Fannie or Freddie, that there is a substantial risk that if the mortgage goes bad, that if there's any kind of problem with documentation or anything else, that they'll get that mortgage back and be liable to the lawsuit.
I like that.
So there are a number of areas, but unfortunately, where you could where we could hope to see an improvement in the housing market. Unfortunately, there's no single solution, and to some extent, just economic recovery more generally is going to drive the housing market.
But there's a concern about what we're doing. FHFA has developed a pilot program with Freddie and Fannie to sell their REOs on a bulk sale. You saw that program they're doing a pilot program on?
That's right.
And the problem I have with that is they're doing it in the Inland Empire, which has a 40-day supply of homes is all. And when they sent the letter out, there was a group of us in our area, 19 of us that represent that region. We wrote a letter objecting to it, and they said, well, these houses have been on the market. When we saw the data, 70% of the homes have never even been listed. And my concern is, why would we do that? If we bulk sell them, we're going to sell them for less than market value. If we sold them in the traditional foreclosure process, you'd get more money listing them with the realtor and selling them out. But we're actually going to cost the taxpayers money, starting a pilot program in a part of the country that has a very low amount of homes listed. Why would we do that? I mean, it doesn't make any sense when we should. I mean, I agree there's probably some parts of the country that maybe there's a high inventory level and you need to bulk sell them out. But why would they pick the one area of the country that's starting to recover? Maybe it's because the house prices are so depressed, but you're bulk selling them out, costing taxpayers money. Why would we do that?
Well, I'm not sure it's costing taxpayers money. I hope not. I think one of the reasons they would be doing that is that in order to make REO to rental programs work, you want to have a large number of houses close together, foreclosed homes close together, so that they can be managed by, rental.
But if you sell them off bulk, you're going to sell them for less than market value, the way they're selling them off.
But more quickly and with less
But
cost.
if you have a 40-day supply of inventory, I mean, my argument is there's places that 7 months considered normal. We have a 40-day supply of inventory, and Freddie and Fannie are bulk selling those to FHFA at a reduced price when those houses could be listed and sold.
Well, that's a good point. I hadn't heard that before, and I would urge you to talk to Ed DeMarco about it.
I did. And the response from DeMarco was, we're afraid we would lose credibility by not selling them now that we bid them out. And my response was, I'm concerned we're losing credibility by costing the taxpayers money, selling homes in a region that has no inventory and an abundance of buyers. I just think that that's something that when you're in meetings, somebody should talk about.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from Georgia.